Hi everybody, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. If I was to describe my relationship with the Elder Scrolls Online, I really think I can only put it in kind of Facebook terms and say it's complicated. I know that's a wee bit of a cop-out. I mean, the it's complicated thing. I mean, if you're single, you put it to single. If you're in a relationship, you put it to in a relationship. But by putting it complicated, you're basically saying, well, I'm kind of banging somebody, but it's not really that serious. And it's either not that serious because you or the other side isn't really reciprocating it enough for it to develop into a relationship. You're not trying to scare people off, but at the same time, you're still kind of telling everyone, I'm banging somebody. I mean, that's what it's complicated really means. Let's just be completely honest here. And that's what I feel about The Elder Scrolls Online, because I absolutely fell in love with the Elder Scrolls series, the single-player RPG, and I even remember the day. It was in Halifax in West Yorkshire. I walked into the game shop. Kids, we used to walk into video game shops to purchase video games. We didn't do it all on the tinterwebs and shit, you know? And I went up to the rack, and I'm talking games rack, and not saying titties. I walked up to the games rack and I looked on the shelves and there we go. I saw this rather interesting, even though it was a little bit bland, but rather interesting game. It said, The Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. And I was kind of like, well, if this has got to a third installment in the franchise, then maybe it's worth a little look. So I took it off the shelf, flipped it over, and it was like RPG. And I was just like, sold right there and then, because I started my whole love of the video game series by RPGs, playing RPGs. I was brought up on a diet of Shining Force and Landstalker and Phantasy Star and Final Fantasy and all those kind of games. And when I got home and put this into my Xbox, and I'm talking original Xbox here, you know, the huge black VHS looking motherfucker. Oh, Christ, that's the Xbox One. No, sorry. I mean, we're not talking Xbox One. We're not talking 360. We're talking about the original one before that. You know, the one with the big green X on that kind of made you feel as if you were getting irradiated every time you turned it on. And you sort of asked your parents for Christmas if they could buy you a Geiger counter because you didn't know if you were going to be fucking sick or not. It was one of those. And I put it in, and it complete and utterly changed the way that I viewed RPGs, because all those great games and series that I mentioned earlier, and I don't mean any disrespect to them whatsoever, they always played in a very linear fashion. There was a great narrative that went through it, but it played in a linear fashion. You went to there, you went to there, you went to there, you did that, you went to there, and it was kind of on the rails, but you loved it because the characters were great, the story was great, and more often than not, the gameplay was great. But this, The Elder Scrolls, changed everything, because it felt like your dad had given you the keys to the car for the very first time, and you were just like, what? And he's just like, son, you can drive anywhere, go anywhere you want. You are in control of the vehicle. You started in an Elder Scrolls game. There wasn't any linear progression. You had storyline, sure, but you chose where you went and what you did. You chose whether or not you were going to be a hero or a villain in essence, because you could murder people, nick off them, pickpocket them. You could do all that kind of good, bad stuff, if that kind of meant anything real. Or you could be an upstanding member and just be like, yes, I am the righteous motherfucker and I'm gonna kill shit. And you could make all those decisions yourself. The game didn't have to funnel you down any sort of narrow corridor for you to be who you wanted to be. You chose any destination you wanted to go to, and the game scaled to wherever you were. It was the sandbox before sandbox became a sandbox. It was just a game that gave you choice. So when it was announced that they were actually going to do an MMO RPG version of The Elder Scrolls, literally overnight underwear sales doubled because everybody shat their pants. I mean, there were fucking virgin births and everything when that news was announced. But when I got involved in the beta for this game, I suddenly realised that that's where stuff got a little bit weird, and the status had to be changed to, instead of in a relationship, to it's complicated. I mean, I could see what they were trying to go for, and there were plenty of areas in the game that I think actually did hit the right chord. The combat was pretty dynamic. Loved the way that you could almost change classes. I mean, literally change classes halfway through a fight, going from bow to suddenly dual wielding or a massive axe or whatever, and any class could wear any armor and hold any weaponry, and you could really kind of customize how you wanted your style of play to be. That shit was absolutely spot on. The voice acting, I mean, the actual physical voice acting was a little bit hit and miss, but the fact that voice acting was there for virtually every single thing in the game was a massive plus point, because it really immersed you in the world and made the questing feel that bit extra special. But there was plenty of stuff which really kind of failed. I mean, first of all, it didn't actually feel like an Elder Scrolls game. I mean, this one forced you into third-person mode, which you can understand, whereas the vast majority of people play the Elder Scrolls franchise in first-person mode. And then on top of that, it was missing the proper thievery system with pickpocketing and all that kind of jazz. That kind of freedom suddenly became very on the rails. There was no Thieves Guild, there was no Dark Brotherhood either, and that definitely was very, very conspicuous in its absence. On top of that, it was so bug-ridden, it was unreal. I mean, we are literally talking arachnophobia when it came to this game. There were that many bugs. And on top of that, the fat cats at the top were trying to squeeze every single solitary dollar out of you. I mean, I felt like a freaking lap dancer that was having dollar notes taken out of my fucking crotch. And that's a pretty disheartening thing, because the thought of me lap dancing, trust me kids, it's not a nice one at all. And with the whole race gated behind a paywall on release unless you bought the collector's edition, and the fact that if you wanted to get around on a mount, you'd have to kill at least 17,000 mobs to be able to afford one, unless of course you made a quick visit to their in-game store, it was a pretty nasty way of treating your customer base on a subscription-based title from the get-go. So with this sort of really shady business tactic and the fact that the game was so bug-ridden, it'll come as absolutely no surprise to you that an absolute truckload of people, including myself, all unsubscribed within the first month of the game's release. We didn't even see out the free 30 days. We all quit within the first month. And I even predicted that the Elder Scrolls Online would go free to play within a year because of these sort of nasty tactics. And those tactics were nasty. When you're playing a game and all you feel when you're playing it is where the people at the top are looking to milk an extra bit of cash out of you, it makes for a miserable fucking experience, let me tell you that, especially when the game was as broken as it was in release. Now, I am all for second chances. Hell, you know that I'm all for second chances if you've followed my channel for any length of time. I've been given Blizzard Entertainment second chances for the last 5 fucking years, for goodness sake. I'm running out of second chances for them. I mean, I couldn't be more forgiving if I was a priest at confessional, for goodness sake. But I tells you one thing, folks, it took me a long, long time to forgive the Elder Scrolls Online, because I felt as if I'd had this franchise which meant so much to me, literally hoard out for my dollar, and it left a really sour taste in my mouth. In actual fact, I think it took 6 months before I even touched the game again. And I say I think because I don't have any recollection of it whatsoever. The only reason why I know is I do have some achievements from October of 2014. But clearly, when I returned after a 6-month gap, it didn't really ignite my fire, because I didn't touch the game again until very recently indeed. Now, I know why I touched it again recently. I mean, if you follow my channel again, you'd know that my relationship with Blizzard Entertainment is so far on the rocks, I actually think we're getting a divorce. I really, really do. And I've kind of gone into that period where you suddenly feel footloose and fancy-free, and you want to sow your seed around the place. And don't get me wrong, I've been playing a lot of Final Fantasy XIV A Realm Reborn, and I love the shit out of that game, but I don't want to fall into the same trap that I did with the World of Warcraft. I don't want to stick a ring on my finger and say that I'm in a committed relationship, and I don't cheat, and therefore I am just staying with my partner. No, I'm kind of like making sure that everybody knows that I am available to a little bit of how's your father. My God, that was an old reference. Kids, go and ask your parents what it means. They'll slap you over the back of the head, send you to bed without any tea, and more importantly, revoke your internet access for a couple of weeks. It'll be awesome fun just to find out. No, it still wasn't enough to make me turn my attention to the Elder Scrolls Online. I actually needed a further push to make me twist my head and have a look at the ESO Gluteus Maximus and go, I want some of that booty. And that was the information coming out that the third major paid DLC, I believe, was actually going to be the Thieves Guild. And not just the Thieves Guild, but the fact that it was actually pretty damn good. Now, that was something that I wanted in the game, and this was actually coming from legitimate sources. I'm talking Heinz fucking ketchup here and JR's barbecue. Legitimate sources here. I'm not talking about the hype train or the marketing train or dev bullshit. I am so desensitized to that, it's unreal. No, this was coming from people and sources that I actually believed in and trusted. So what I said to myself was, okay, what I'll do is I have already made a purchase of the Elder Scrolls Online. I will download it again, start a new character, because it had been, goodness gracious me, a year and a half since I'd touched the damn thing, and the character that I had at top level, I think it was Veteran Rank 2, hadn't been seen in so long I probably would forget everything about it, so let's just start again. Start from scratch and see how we get on. So I did. I reinstalled it, created a new character, went out into the world, and, well, before I knew it, several hours had passed, and I'd actually started to remember things that I missed about the game. The positives, the rose-tinted specks had been placed around my ears and on the bridge of my nose, and I was just seeing and hearing some rather nice stuff. The music, for one. Oh my goodness me, I missed that. That's stellar work right there. The voice acting, like I said, although it wasn't perfect and sort of missed the mark in a few areas, was still really good and really immersive and made you feel absolutely 100% part of that world. There was no bugs. I didn't come across a bug. In actual fact, I don't think I came across a single bug until about day 3 or 4. And even now, I've only come across about 3 of them in total. You know, nothing that's really going to make me pull a teddy tantrum or anything like that. So everything was seemingly pretty good. So I decided to give it another litmus test, and I actually took it to my stream. Oh my goodness, Az is not streaming World of Warcraft, he's doing Elder Scrolls Online. Wanted to diversify what people see when I go live, and so I thought I'd use this to test the waters of how it would be received. And a lot of people turned out. I was really kind of surprised, considering it wasn't a World of Warcraft stream, and that's what a lot of people fucking cry about. Why are you playing World of Warcraft? And so it was like, okay. But the biggest thing was, when I finished the streams, I carried on playing. And so, it wasn't long before I realised the character that I'd actually re-rolled was exactly like the character I had at top level. I was just redoing an identical thing. So, when I had finished one of those streams, I decided to hop on to my top level character and just do a little bit of theory crafting online, find out where some of these points will go and all that kind of jazz for my skills and abilities, and then have a bit of a play. And I rather liked it. And then the ball grabber came. You know where you grab the shaft and you just start... Okay, you're probably a bit TMI there. But that sort of moment came because somebody said, do you know what? You don't have to be any higher than Veteran Rank 1, level 50 odd, to do the Thieves Guild. Because if you do get that DLC with that level, the game will scale you up to veteran rank 15. And I was sort of like, because at the same time, I'd still be leveling my existing character, but be as strong as a top level character. And so I decided to bite the bullet, and I went out and I purchased the Thieves Guild DLC. And you've actually seen the opening, the initial questline go across your screen at the start of this video, all the way up to about 7.5 minutes or so. That is actually the prelude to the Thieves Guild expansion. It's the quest that you do before you've even gone off to the brand new area, met up with the Thieves Guild Guildmaster, and started the proper, inverted commas, adventure there. And this is where I realised that the Elder Scrolls had actually gained an identity. They had gained a game identity. They were an MMO RPG, but what they had done is they'd sliced it right down the middle and said, we are an RPG, and that is very, very important indeed to your experience, and we are also an MMO, and there are multiple people here for you to go off and dungeoneer and all those kind of top end stuffs. And they took both of them pretty darn seriously. And in actual fact, for the very first time in playing the Elder Scrolls Online, I actually felt like I was playing the Elder Scrolls. And that feeling was pretty damn priceless. And in actual fact, just doing the prelude quest, where I had to break into a house and steal an object, but I wasn't meant to kill anyone, and she didn't want you to kill anyone, so you had to leap in and out of baskets and avoid the people that had the lanterns, because if you got within the radius of the lantern, it would alert them and it would all be over. And you had to do all your sneaking and all your invisibility and all that kind of stuff, which, oh my god, realised was fucking great fun. And this was on an MMO RPG. A really exciting, really innovative quest. Something that could go anywhere in any MMORPG, should they have thought it up and just decided to do something of this ilk. Something which has been missing from a certain MMORPG for a long, long time. And I literally went through this quest like putting on a sexy pair of slippers in the wintertime that just made your feet so toasty and warm. It's just like, that feels so good. And the fact that the decisions weren't as black and white as it may seem. I mean, when you got caught at the very end of the prelude, you can either fight your way out of it, and these guards weren't too strong that you would actually get defeated. You might have had a good crack, or you could put the item back and surrender. And that's what I decided to do. I thought, no, she didn't want me to go kill anybody, so I'm going to put my thing back and I'm going to give in. And then you went into the prisons, and then you had to escape from the prisons, and then you went through the catacombs and out to the little dock, and then the dock, we went into a little boat, and the little boat, because everything was pretty little, the little boat sent you away to the new zone where the Thieves Guild was based. And that is when things started for real. But that is also when I said to myself, I wonder if everything's just gonna feel samey now. I wonder if everything's just kind of gonna go back to normal, or if there is going to be a continuation of the inventiveness that we've seen so far. And I gotta tell you, things did not stay the same. I was really, really impressed at how much I was getting immersed and involved in this Thieves Guild storyline. It was legit. I mean, absolutely legit. It didn't feel as if it was contrived. It didn't feel as if it was just giving you the same old shit to do. There were really cool little quests. There were really cool little things just to go pick pickpocket regular members of this new town. There was great quests to break into warehouses and try and pin people up and gain information out of them. I don't know if it was drugging them or twatting them over the head with something, but we had to try and get some information out of people, nick some this, nick some of that, and I was in. I was completely all in, and I was just like, I'm not just playing the Elder Scrolls Online, I'm playing the fucking Elder Scrolls, man. I'm getting all the vibes, all the feels of that beautiful franchise in this DLC. They fucking nailed it. Nailed it. And Jesus, I'm not even going to do that metaphor because some people will get offended, alright, mate? So I'm just going to push you to one side. But it was brilliant. It's absolutely fantastic. And I've still not finished it. I've not nowhere near to the end. I've just actually unlocked something new. I've unlocked heists and I'm ready to go on my first heist. And I thought I was doing some pretty complicated stuff before then. And suddenly it was just like, oh, no. Now we're going to plan a fucking heist. And I'm just like, my body is ready. So I've just been going around doing a little bit of this, doing a little bit of that, just waiting for the moment for me to pounce on this heist and then get on with it. So I'll just say this in closing, because I've waffled on for a little while now, and I'll just say this. If you have purchased the Elder Scrolls Online in the past, you can download it and get on it for free. Why not just have a go at what I did? Create a new character, or even if you want to jump onto your old character and just see if you feel anything different about the game whatsoever. If you were one of the people that left because of the horrific bugs, or if you were one of the people that left because you didn't really want to have those fat cat's dick up your bloody asshole trying to also pinch money out of your wallet at the same time as you were getting fucked, then it might be worth having another crack at the cherry. It might be worth seeing whether or not you feel as if the game feels different as a free-to-play, or feels different as one which isn't trying to fucking nick every last dime off of you. Which it hasn't in its free-to-play format. In actual fact, it's me that's been curious to see what's been on the Crown Store, as opposed to the game saying, hey, go to our fucking shop, bitch, fucking buy some shit, this is free to play, you fucking dodgy bitch. None of that whatsoever. It legitimately made me go, I wonder what's for sale with my little set of crowns which I've got. So yeah, I would say just go on and give it a shot, and if you like what you see, and if it plays to how you hope it's going to play, then maybe you should give the Thieves Guild a bit of a crack, because I don't think I've had this much fun on an MMORPG with a singular piece of content for a long time. And this is coming from a guy that's currently rimming Final Fantasy XIV, A Realm Reborn. So there we go, the Thieves Guild. I mean, I don't think you can call this a review. I don't think you can really call this an overview. I think what you can really call this video is my relationship with the Elder Scrolls Online, and how I don't feel as if I'm getting fucked up the ass because the bugs, and I'll figure out a better title, trust me. But in the meantime, I hope you enjoyed the vid, and if you did, do give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links, they're in the description down below, and I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.